Hi everybody, welcome to episode number 42 of Driftless Knitting. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and you can find the podcast on Ravelry if you search for Driftless Knitting under the Groups tab. I'm coming to you from central Wisconsin, just outside Madison, and today's setup is a little bit different. If you might be able to notice the difference in the video, just the way it looks and everything. I am having to film on my phone today, on my iPhone, and it's really weird. I don't exactly, well, I know where to look, but it feels so much more natural to look at myself on the screen, and I'm trying really hard not to do that. I'm trying to look at the camera. My webcam on my computer was giving me some issues, and it was very frustrating. And I had the urge to, when you have technological difficulties, to throw something at the wall, namely my computer. But I didn't, and it's still sitting there, but it just wasn't, something about the privacy settings wasn't letting me open the camera up, and Skype was being weird, because that's like what runs the camera. It's so weird. Anyway, so the only way I could really film a podcast today, which might be the only time this week that I can film a podcast, was now, and I had to do it, so we're on my phone today. Yeah, I feel really weird because I have the phone like sitting up on a pile of stuff so that it's level with me, but I still, like, the amount that's in the camera is not the same as on my computer, and so I feel, I don't know. I just feel out of sorts, I suppose. So bear with me. Yes, so today is Thursday, the 21st of September. It is unseasonably hot. This whole week, the weekend was pretty nice. Well, it was still kind of warm, and Monday and Tuesday were pretty nice, but yesterday and today, it's in the 80s. It's going to be in the 80s the rest of the week, into the weekend. I think it's about 90 degrees with the heat index and the humidity. I'm so ready for fall. We had a couple really cool days about a week, 2 weeks ago, and it got me in the mood for fall so much. And I keep seeing like all these posts about apple orchards and going to pick pumpkins, and it feels like July. It's so weird. It just makes me feel out of sorts. I don't like it when, I don't know, when the temperatures don't really seem to go with what time of year it is. But I don't know, this might become the new normal. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get into talking about all that stuff, but global warming. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. So, yeah, yay, September, 90 degrees in September. And I keep seeing all these posts about people in other areas that are getting snow around now. I'm in Wisconsin. Like, the end of September, beginning of October is supposed to be like crisp, and the leaves are changing. The leaves are starting to change, but I feel like everything is confused. We have, it's so buggy right now because usually like the first, we'll get a frost. I feel like we'll get a frost around the end of September. It'll like climb back up during the day, but during the night, it'll frost over and kill a lot of those bugs and the mosquitoes and the flies, and they're still awful. We still have cicadas that are buzzing and chirping, and I feel like that usually doesn't last into the end of September. But yeah, so anyway, so I'm inside. I'm wearing a tank top. I had the air going earlier, and it just feels really, really strange. So, but I've got my pumpkin. I've got my pumpkin with me. That's going to keep me in the fall spirit, because I want it to be fall so badly. I really do. And speaking of fall, this will segue nicely into the first piece of the knitting portion of the podcast that I will talk about. These, let's see, I'm going to call it a hop. I have a hop. So you know how a lot of people say that they have a hoe, they have a half object. And usually when they're saying that, they're talking about a sock. They have one sock done, but they don't have the second sock done. Or a mitten or something like that, like a pair. And to me, I don't really like that, because to me, this is a finished object. For those of you who have watched for a while, you'll have heard me go on about this before. But to me, this is a finished object. I finished it. I casted it off. I had to cast on the second one. So I'm going to call this a hop, which is going to stand for half of a pair. So yeah, just ignore the A in there. Half of a pair. And this is, oh, the lighting is so bad. I apologize for the quality of this video. This is one of my Rhinebeck is Calling socks. And I've shown these on the last couple of podcasts. Hang on one second. I'm going to try and fix something with the lights up here. Hold on one second. Okay, what I wanted to do didn't work, so we're just going to have to live with it. Yes, so like I was saying, this is the first of my Rhinebeck is Calling socks, which is by Litton of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. This colorway is Fall on the Farm by Three Sisters Fibre Company. And I absolutely loved knitting this. Loved it. This pattern is so addictive, so intuitive once you get going. I think I mentioned on the last episode that I think I had to do the repeat twice before it really sunk into my brain. And I was kind of afraid that I was going to have to look at the pattern the whole time I was knitting it. Like at first it just wasn't clicking, and then after that second repeat it just stuck in my head. And I started the second one, I'll show you that in a second, and I haven't even had to look at the pattern while starting and knitting that sock, so it really has stuck in my head. It just has these are from the top down, which again, like I've said before, I don't normally do socks from the top down, but I really wanted to try. And there's just a 2x2 rib at the top there, and then it goes into the pattern. The patterning is, you can see there's a line of stockinette on both sides, on like each, like kind of dividing up the front and back. So the pattern is around the entire leg of the sock. And then you go into the heel, and I did a heel flap, a slip stitch heel flap. My first, was that even in the shot? Yeah, I hope it was. This was my first heel flap on an adult size sock, which was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed it, and I think it's going to fit pretty well. So yes, there's my heel. And then the rest of the sock, the pattern is along the top of it. And the sole, the bottom of the foot is all stockinette. And then I did a decrease, just decrease on each side of the toe, and then I Kitchenered the toe together. And I haven't blocked these yet. That looks so weird. I haven't blocked these yet in water, soaked them or anything. I just slipped it on my sock blocker yesterday so I could see kind of how it fit. And yeah, and I took a picture of it and I posted that on my Instagram. So those of you who did see the picture on Instagram, you will not be surprised by this, but I have I have started the second sock. I am no further on it than I was yesterday when I did take that picture. So this is the beginning of the second one. Again, I did a 2x2 rib, and it's from the top down. And I just started, I think I'm like 1.5 repeats in on the patterning on the actual sock. And this is a Progress Keeper by the Gnome Knitter. It's a pumpkin spice latte. So again, these are my fall autumn socks. I am loving them. I'm entering them into 2 cals. My favorite color is October Cal, run by Tiffany of the Woolen Homestead, and the Rhinebeck is Calling Cal, which that's what the pattern is, and that's hosted by Kay, who's the designer of the pattern. She's doing she's doing a cal for these socks, and it's through, both of these cals are through October 31st, so you still have time if this pattern looks like something you would enjoy, if you have the perfect colorway for them, or, I mean, Tiffany's, you don't have to do socks, you don't have to do necessarily even a colorway that is autumn named. All you really have to do is knit something that you feel is autumnal. So it could be a sweater, it could be mittens, it could be a hat, really anything. You do get double the entries if you use Tiffany's colorway called My Favorite Color is October, and that's on her Etsy shop. I don't know if she has any listed right now, but she put a new podcast episode out a few days ago, I think, and she was saying that she was going to be dyeing up some soon, so I'm not really sure when that's going to be, but you don't have to have her colorway. You can enter with anything. Again, you just get double the entries if you do knit with her yarn. So it's fun. I am loving these. I was actually knitting these in the tractor over the weekend. Well, not really the weekend. It was Monday and Tuesday. I was on the farm with Seaver. He took a couple personal days to help his dad out with the harvest, and they were cutting and loading chopper boxes, and then filling up the silos, and we did that like all day Monday and Tuesday, and actually learned how to unload chopper boxes, which was not terribly difficult. It was actually kind of fun. Just wondering, is that light back there? Sorry, you're getting a bit of a view of my apartment, even though that door is so bright. That's our balcony back there. That's where I usually podcast. But today Seaver had kind of a weird shift yesterday. He got off a couple hours early, and so came home like super early this morning and was able to sleep in the morning into early afternoon. And right now it's about 2:30, and he is at the gym. So I have time to podcast. So I'm actually just gonna scooch you. All you people. No, that makes it worse, doesn't it? Okay, I'm gonna scooch you this way, because I think that will ignore the large box. That's our TV. It's not up yet. We're still kind of moving in, even though we're not. Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm thinking maybe with that sunshine not like glaring in, maybe the lighting will be a little bit better. Okay, so those are my Rhinebeck is Calling socks, and I have that in my cow bag by Carolyn of Chain344 Podcast. And she does have an Etsy shop. I always forget to mention these. They sell these at the yarn shop that she runs with Kate, who is her podcasting co-host. And so they sell this at Unwound in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is the yarn shop that they run. But she also has an Etsy shop, and it's Last in Line. I'm just making sure I have it right. Last in Line Shop. And it's lastinlineshop.etsy.com. So yeah, she does have bags up there. And this one is the cows with the milk labels on the inside, and it is so dirty right now. Oh my gosh. I had this with me in the tractor as well, and when I wasn't, I got a little bit of knitting done. Not a whole lot, especially not on Tuesday. I don't think I even brought it with me on Tuesday, because we were unloading corn silage, which is basically, so they grow all their own corn, and then they cut it and chop it, and then they blow it up into the silo to store it for winter. And what they do is they mix, I forget what, they have to put something in it to blow it up into the silo. Anyway, I don't know the details. But so Fibre was down on the ground kind of working the switches and everything, and then I was up in the tractor controlling how much was being blown out of the chopper box into the auger thing, which would spin it and then blow it up in the silo. So I had to pay attention. That it's not really anything that you're constantly like, you're turning the throttle up and down, just controlling the speed as to like how much is coming out. And then if there's a big clump that kind of comes out all at once, you have to stop it really quick, let the auger like get everything out, and then start it up again. So that was a job that I had to pay attention to the whole time. So there's no knitting done. But the day before that, Fibre and I were kind of taking turns. He didn't have to like watch the stuff on the ground level. He was up in the tractor with me, so I would do a chopper box and then he would. We kind of switched back and forth so that I could get a little bit of knitting time in. So that's actually when I finished that first sock, and then that night started the second one. But yeah, I didn't really get a whole lot of that one knit the next day. But anyway, enough farm talk. Sorry about that. I think it's interesting. I really enjoy it, but I know not everybody does. So anyway, but I had my cow bag up in the tractor with me that first day, and it's a little bit dirty, but I'm pretty sure I can just throw this in the washing machine. I'll have to message Carolyn and ask her, but I'm pretty sure it'd be fine. Yeah, so that is my first work in progress. My second work in progress is again one that you will have seen before. This one I worked a whole lot on. Oh boy. It's falling everywhere. And then I just have in a canvas bag. It's not too exciting. But I needed a bigger bag because this is growing. So this is the Stone Point poncho by, I believe her name is Courtney Kelley. And this, I showed you last week, and I had really only started the first repeat of lace, I believe. And now I am on I'm halfway done with the last repeat of lace for this side. And I worked like a fiend on this. Friday, after I podcasted, I did a ton of knitting on this. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I didn't. I was busy Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday I was at the farm. So then yesterday, which was Wednesday, I did another full repeat. I want to say full repeat and a half, and then this morning I worked on it a little bit more. So with not having done a whole lot of knitting on it besides those 2 days and a little bit today, this is really growing steadily. So I'm almost done with the front piece. Or is this the back? I don't think it matters. You do the front and back the same. I'm almost done with this piece, and then I will be moving on to the next one. Then they come together at the shoulders. It's just basically like 2 squares that come together at the shoulders, and then you knit a cowl onto it. So I will be getting that done. I really want to have this done by next Friday, which doesn't seem like a whole lot of time, but you never know. So next Friday, I'm heading back up to Winona to Yarnology, which is the yarn shop there that I used to work at for many, many, many years. And I'm heading back to visit. I have an appointment up there that I had scheduled like months and months and months ago in La Crosse. And so I'm just going to take the opportunity to see friends, visit the shop. And this is actually a shop sample for them. This is out of the Fibre company Arranmore Light. I almost forgot. Which is not the yarn that they call for in the pattern. They do call for a Fibre company yarn, but it's more of like a silky, I forget what yarn they call for. But this one is really nice. I think it's going to have all the drape that the other one has, but still be warm, because this one is wool, silk, noils, and cashmere, I think. A little bit of cashmere in there. So the silk and the cashmere kind of, it kind of outweighs the scratchiness of the wool, but you still get it's really hard to describe. It feels rustic, but it's not scratchy. It's not silky smooth, but I kind of like that. It's a tweed yarn, so I feel like the little bit of a rustic feel sort of like lends itself well to the tweed quality, but it's not scratchy at all. So, but it's gonna be super warm. So it's like best of all worlds, pretty much. And again, I don't remember what the colorway is. I never bring the little tags with me when I do this. But it's this beautiful blue base. And, oh, you actually might be able to see the tweed colors in there. Last week, the sun was shining so brightly that I think it blew it out. But this is, yeah, it's got the tweed, almost like turquoise and purple tweed flecks with a little bit of white in there. So it's really pretty. I'm really looking forward to getting this done. And I think it's kind of funny, like I found this pattern when looking up patterns for Fibre Company yarns, and it's a Kelborn Woolens pattern, which they are the US representatives and distributors for the Fibre Company. And I saw this and I really, really liked it, and I thought it would be great in our shop. A lot of our customers like to do poncho wrap type things. And now it's gotten all this attention. They just featured it on Ravelry, on the homepage of Ravelry, and it's become like the #1 favorited project in the last like few days. So I think it's kind of cool that, not saying that like, oh, I predicted that, but you know, a project that it was popular, but it was a little older. It wasn't like a brand new pattern. Suddenly is getting a lot of attention, and we're gonna have a sample of it. So I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. I'm really hoping I will be able to get this repeat done no problem tonight, and then maybe start on the garter stitch bottom, because it does have like 2.5 inches of garter stitch at the bottom. So, and that takes a while. Let's be real. Garter stitch, yeah, it takes a little bit of discipline to get through that, but I'll put on a really great podcast and I'll just knit away, or I'll read and knit, because garter stitch is perfect for reading and knitting. So that'll be great. Okay, my next work in progress is something that I just started while I was kind of waiting for my computer. I did a few things to see if my camera would work on my computer. And while I was waiting for things to update and turn back on, I casted this on. And I've been thinking about this project for a while, and I finally decided on what I wanted to do. So it really doesn't have anything major to show you. Literally, I casted it on and did 1 row. I'm on size 6 circular needles, 16-inch. These are just some bamboo, Chao-gu bamboos that we carry these at Yarnology. And when I first started knitting, I didn't have my click set yet, and addies were, you know, they can be expensive for someone who's on a budget, a college student. And so most of the needles that I got when I started knitting are all the Chao-gu bamboos. I did end up getting sorry, I'm picking like fuzz off of this yarn. I did end up getting an interchangeable set for Christmas one year, about 2 or 3 years ago, of the Addie lace, long lace tips, which are actually the rockets. So the rockets are basically a combination of the Addie turbos and the Addie lace needles. They have the lace tip with the turbo finish. And they call them rockets. It's like, yeah, it's a hybrid. So when I was wanting an interchangeable set, I really wanted the rockets. And we inquired about it. Are you ever going to have a set of the rockets? And they were like, well, actually, the long lace set, those are rockets because they don't have that bronze finish like the lace do, and I don't like the feel of that. I really don't. I have a few sets of the lace needles back when, because we used to carry at Yarnology, we used to carry the turbos and the lace because some people liked the blunter tip, the faster needle. Some people liked the sharper tip, the slower needle, because the original lace needles have this like bronze coating that slow down your knitting. The problem with the lace needles, in my opinion, is that they turn color. A lot of times the oils on our fingers, on most people's fingers, it doesn't happen for everybody, but for a lot of people, it will like deteriorate that bronze finish, and they kind of get smelly in a way. You know, that metallic smell that can sometimes come, you know, with bronze piping or anything like that. It can have that like metallic smell to it. That's what these needles would start to smell like, and they just looked really bad with these big splotches of finish that was coming off. And it happened to a lot of people. And then when they started making these rockets, the shop, Yarnology, we just made the decision, go all in for the rockets. We got rid of the turbo and the lace, and the only metal needles that they carry now are the Addy rockets. And they're my favorite needles. So that's what my interchangeable set is. But yeah, I do still have a lot of the bamboo needles from Chaogu, and that's what I'm knitting this on. And this is actually going to be, it looks like a hat right now, but this is actually going to be a baby sweater. And I'm knitting this for my college roommate who is having a baby in November, and I have knit a few other things for her. The Kickapoo baby blanket that I designed and knit, that is for her baby. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, by the way. Go check that out. And I've knit some baby socks. I've shown those on the podcast as well. And I really wanted to do a sweater. So her and her husband are huge Green Bay Packer fans. She grew up in the Viroqua area of Wisconsin and in a little tiny town outside of Viroqua. And he grew up kind of in that same area. So I feel like most people who grow up in Wisconsin turn out to be massive Packer fans. My other college roommate was also a huge Packer fan. I was outnumbered like terribly. But anyway, and Seaver's a Green Bay Packer fan too, so I'm even more outnumbered. So I wanted to do a sweater for her, and I thought it would be really cute for her little baby boy to do it in Green Bay Packer colors. So this is the green that I'm going to be doing. And this is Rowan Pure Wool Worsted in the Garage colorway. And I'm not sure if they have discontinued this. I've had this in my stash for at least a year or two. I have another full skein of this. This is like a 3/4 of a skein, I'd say. But it's just this really lovely dark green. And again, the lighting's not great, but you I think pretty much get the idea of that shade. And then I have another color of Rowan, I almost said felted tweed, Rowan Pure Wool Worsted. That's a really beautiful gold, dark gold color, and they are perfectly matched and the perfect Green Bay Packer colors. So I'm going to do a raglan pullover, and you might be like, well, why aren't you joined in the round there? I'm gonna do the first like inch of it, or more, maybe even more than that. I'm gonna do like a button band so that they can unbutton it and get it over his head easier. I know for babies, it's kind of difficult to do pullovers. Their heads are kind of big, their bodies are small, and just the proportions and everything. So I'm gonna do the first like I said, the first inch or maybe even inch and a half, I'll put a couple little buttonholes and put little buttons there so they can undo that if they need to when changing him. And then I think I'm gonna do like a Fair Isle pattern color work on the bottom, like a traditional. So it's gonna be like a traditional Fair Isle sweater, not yoked or anything, but a traditional Fair Isle sweater in the Green Bay Packer colorways. So I think that's just gonna be really cute, and I think they're gonna love dressing him in that for game days. Or non-game days, just whenever they feel like it. And again, this baby is being born in November, so they'll be able to put him in it for, you know, the first couple of months of his life. So yeah, but I just kind of decided to wing this pattern. I found a couple patterns that I could have used, but I don't know, part of me just kind of rebels against that, and I'm like, I can think of something, I can do one better than that. I don't know, it just, I wasn't finding anything like perfect. Yeah. And when you have that like image in your head of what you really want and you can't find it online or in a book, yeah, I'm just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to come up with something. So that's what I'm doing. Again, yeah, I don't have that much done. And with this, trying to get the stone point poncho finished, I'm not sure how much I'll have done of this, but her baby shower is on the 7th of October, so I'm gonna have to get going. This is the last thing I'll do for her. I did the blanket, the socks, and then I'll do the sweater. I think that's enough. For friends like this, for really good friends and for family, I just love to spoil those little babies. I love to knit like absolutely everything for them. So yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I'm excited for him to come into this world in just over a month from now, which is crazy to think about, but yeah, time is flying. So other than that, I don't have any new acquisitions. I'm being really, really good. I haven't really been to a yarn shop in a while, though I did go to, I forgot to mention this last time, my dad and I rode the motorcycle. I did mention that. We took a motorcycle ride, but we actually went up to Verona, from his house in Janesville up to Verona, Wisconsin, which is actually south of me. Yeah, anyway, all in this area, this like western Madison area. We went to Verona, Wisconsin to the yarn shop there called the Sow's Ear. And I had never been there, but I had heard from a lot of people that I should go. And it is a coffee shop slash yarn shop, which is two of my absolute favorite things, coffee and yarn. And it was really fun. My dad and I are both coffee junkies, and my dad is also a knitter. He dabbles a bit in knitting, and hasn't over the summer. I think he's kind of a cold weather knitter, but I think going to this yarn shop got him excited again about knitting, so that was really cool. And we walked through it, we looked at the yarn, then we sat down and had a cup of coffee and a sweet treat, but I did not buy anything there, and I've been really, really good. I do have a feeling that when I go up to Yarnology next week, I will be purchasing a couple of things, just because they have some new books that I want to take a look at, and I haven't been there in a month, so I'm sure there will be new yarns that I will have to squeeze and cuddle, and I'm going to be there like all day that Saturday on the 30th of September, so I have a feeling that I might have to take something home with me. It's going to be really, really hard to be sitting in a room full of yarn, especially at Yarnology, because we have some really, really great stuff there. It's going to be really hard to walk away without buying anything. So that'll be my one indulgence. Otherwise, I've been really good. I've been tempted to order a couple things online just because of Instagram. Instagram is the most wonderful thing and the worst thing like ever. But yeah, I've held back on that. Although there's a few things that I'm just dying for. Have you guys seen Barnyard Knits, her yarn? Oh my gosh. She's fairly new. I think she's only been dyeing for about 6 months or so, not even a year yet. Her yarn is amazing. I want every single colorway. She has these awesome skeins that are very like similar to each other. They have like corresponding colors, and I think doing a fade or a like a Stephen West or something like that, where you have to like pair multiple colors together. Oh my gosh, I am dying to buy some of that yarn. I look at her website. I just looked at it yesterday, I think, too. I just go on there and just like, oh, it is like yarn porn. Yarn porn, that's what it is. So anyway, I'm drooling over things online, but I'm holding back because as of right now, I still don't have work here in Madison, although lots of my applications are out there, and crossing fingers on a couple of them, a couple good leads, so we'll see. But yeah, I cannot be spending money that's not coming in to me, so once I do get a job, oh boy, I'm going on a shopping spree. Just kidding. I have plenty of gorgeous yarn upstairs that I need to use, so we'll do that first. Okay, so thank you all for watching. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you, and I think it is just fantastic that you come back and watch every week. To those of you who are brand new to my channel, thank you so much for clicking that button to check out my podcast. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I do have even more new subscribers. This has been crazy. The last 2 weeks, I think I've gotten 30 or 40 new subscribers, which to me, being a very small podcast, I consider myself being a smaller podcast. I'm not like, you know, like Legacy Knits or the Grocery Girls or any of those really huge, like Inside Number 23 podcasts with thousands of subscribers. I consider myself a very small podcast, but it's just so exciting when I get a new subscriber, and when there's a comment on the video, or when someone goes on Ravelry to comment on something. It's just like such a thrill. So thank you all so much for subscribing and participating just in the podcast in general. I invite you all to, go check out Ravelry. In the group, I have the show notes on a thread there with the name of the title of the episode. I don't really title my episodes, but the number of the episode. That's where you can find notes about what yarns I'm using, what patterns I'm using, things like that. If you have any questions or comments about my knitting or about me in general, feel free to ask there, and I will answer those as best as I can. And yeah, I hope to see you all very, very soon. Have a fantastic weekend. Thanks again for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.